Hi everyone! So I've just come back from a trip to Hong Kong and Shanghai. It was largely a family holiday, and one of the things I really wanted to do in China was to visit a confinement center. I didn't make any plans to visit one because I just didn't think I'd manage a tour and have the kids with me. But coincidentally, the hotel that we were staying at actually had a confinement center. So I didn't even know about this until the lift doors opened at one particular level and I saw these women have St. Bella embroidered onto their uniforms. So St. Bella is a very premium confinement center out of China. They work mainly out of very prestigious hotels, 5-6 star type hotels. For example, the Peninsula, the Waldorf Astoria, and in Singapore, they work out of the Capella. This particular confinement center really is catered to the very elite of the Chinese population. I just took the chance to lock myself into a tour. So I managed to book myself in, and I told the lady that I had 4 children, but I think she understood it as I was pregnant with my 4th. So she was beautiful and welcoming and, really wanted to take me through the rooms and their offerings. So I actually learned so much, and it was just such an interesting experience to see what these confinement centers offered. This particular confinement center, each mum and baby has access to one full-time nurse. So the way it works is one nurse will be with this family for the 24 hours, and then the next day another nurse will come in while the first one takes a break, and then it just keeps going until they finish their stay. So a lot of moms will stay for a minimum of 28 days, but it can go up to 42 and even 56 days. So their packages are priced at 28, 42 and 56. The food was what really just warmed me to see, because I was just so happy to see that these moms were getting nourished this way. So they work on a very similar way to how our 28-day package works, around 4-week cycle. It is catered by their in-house restaurant. So I was fortunate enough to actually have a meal within the hotel, not the confinement food, but I had the dinner at the restaurant, and it was just amazing food. Of course, the confinement menu will be different to this restaurant, but the produce was amazing, the service was great, taste was just next level. I was just so happy to see that these moms were receiving this as part of their postpartum period. This is a very exclusive offering in China, but this particular brand has really built a name for having very professional staff and a very unique offering. So they really are reimagining what the entire postpartum experience looks like. All their nurses are professionally trained, so they actually train like 3,000 nurses a year, and only the best out of these 3,000 will end up working within their confinement centers. They're all lactation consultants, really qualified professionals working with these new moms and babies. The pricing is catered to the elite Chinese population. Just as an example, the smallest room at this particular center that I was at is the equivalent of 40,000 Australian dollars for 28 days, and the largest room was the equivalent of $82,000 for 28 days. Obviously, the packages range from the 28 days to the 56 and beyond. And it is obviously catering to a very elite population, but it really just showed me how much the Chinese people value the confinement period. I just think of how in Australia, I am encouraging moms to rest and recover and just carve out time for themselves. And then half the world away, there are women spending this amount of money to invest in their future health. Obviously, there's a lot of questions, ideas, and feelings about postpartum care shouldn't only be available and accessible to the wealthy, which I completely get. And that's one of the reasons I created this brand, to make things accessible to the home. But it's just so interesting to see, I just think it's so fascinating how if one can feel that they are worthy, will invest in themselves. And obviously I'm obviously talking about a very small population who can afford to do this, but it's just nonetheless very interesting to see. This St. Bella business, they have a few different tiers of confinement centers. So St. Bella being the most premium out of their range. They have really developed very detailed SOP to run their operations. And they really have, collaborated with really big brands like La Prairie or La Mer to bring a really luxurious experience to their mums. It's a very, very different way, I think, we see postpartum care here in Australia. But I would love to hear your thoughts about confinement centers, or if you have any questions, I will be sharing a little bit more about what was in the rooms and a bit of their menu. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts.